Hi everybody, I'm Carla Ficker and welcome to another All Things Growing. Today I'm with Steffani Adaska, who is a private chef, among other things. She's an amazingly talented chef.
Thank you.
And she's my special guest today on All Things Growing, and she's going to show us some of the magic ways you prepare kale.
We have kale today we're going to be cooking. We're also going to be working with broccoli as well as cauliflower. So we're going to start with kale. Kale, and you can talk a little bit more about how it grows because that's not my forte. I'm more of the culinary side of things. But kale is an amazing superfood, really. It's full of vitamins and minerals. It's actually been known or connected to helping reduce cancer, and it's also great for your digestive system. It's got full of vitamin K, which is great for your bones. Again, I mentioned that it's really good for as an antioxidant and helping reduce cancer. Certain types of cancer. It also helps lower your cholesterol, and it's also good for detoxification.
It is. It absolutely is. And it just really started to catch on in the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are just so many great recipes that you can utilize kale for.
Yes.
And it's so easy to grow. You start it in the ground in early spring. And then just kind of let it roll. It's more of a cold weather crop, so it's almost like the colder it gets, the sweeter it tastes.
Good,
so,
good. Let me pull this off the heat real quick. But today what we're going to make is we're going to, I don't really have a recipe, I'm just kind of winging it, but I will get a recipe together on my website. But here we have the kale, and I just wanted to show you how to easily get rid of the spine or the stem of the kale is just cut along that and get rid of that because it's tough.
Yeah,
even when you cook it takes a while. If you're using it just in a juice machine, then by all means stick the whole thing in there because it all gets out of there. But you want to get some of that the tougher stem. And again, you can just kind of take your knife along there and
take that off.
Yep, take it off, and it's just easy to do that. So with this recipe, I have about 1.5 pounds finely minced. I will mince up this, and the smaller you have, the easier, is more palatable it is for if you're using, especially if you're having making a salad like a raw salad, you want to have it in small bits. This will be cooked in the soup, so it doesn't have to be super fine. But I like mine a little bit finer.
Yeah.
So
I like my recipe for kale is I'll take the kale, get some and some garlic, fresh garlic, and I'll just toss it all up, get it all coated, put it in the oven for 15 minutes at 375, and they're kale chips. It's great food.
Yep, kale chips are fantastic.
Absolutely fabulous. So.
And again, they're good for you, so that's better.
Don't tell any. My kids that.
Right, I sneak it into smoothies and things.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back to the stove here, and we're going to get started. I have a pan here. And what I've done is I've added a little olive oil to the pan, and I'm going to add about 1 medium white onion. And we're going to saute that up. Turn the heat up just a little bit. Okay. And to that, I'm going to add some celery. This is about 1 stalk of celery, chopped medium, and then also I have about 1 carrot stick, medium. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook that down a little bit. Once I get the soup together, we're going to let that cook, and then we'll move on to another dish. But this is just sauteing up here. Once the onions get soft, we're going to add about 2 cloves of minced garlic. Now, if you don't like garlic, or if your stomach doesn't agree with onions, by all means you can eliminate it from this dish. I personally love garlic and onions and more flavor, in my opinion. And I'm also going to add a couple red pepper flakes, just to add a little bit of heat to it. Now, I'm also going to be using in this dish.
Bam!
Bam! My name's not Emerald, but I could think of something funny. We can pretend. But I like to add a little bit of the pepper flake. I'm also going to be, once this is the garlic starts to get a smell on there, I'm going to add some hot Italian sausage. Now you could use sweet Italian sausage, or you can eliminate the meat altogether. That's certainly your choice. I got this from Sherman Farms. They have a really nice organic meats, fantastic meats, and I'm going to use about a good 1/2 pound of pork.
Okay.
I'm putting that in my fridge, in my cooler rather.
Yep.
Thanks. So I'm just breaking this up. I don't know if you can see it in the oven, in the camera over there. We need one of those fancy mirrors on top of my stove.
What are you doing?
I said we need a nice fancy mirror on top of the stove so he can film.
There you go.
Know?
Yeah.
We'll have to put that in
Get
our
on
request,
that. Yeah,
right? So I'm just cooking up the pork and breaking it up as it cooks. And what's going to happen with the pork, there's not a lot of fat in the pork from Sherman Farms, or the organic stuff from Weston's has great meat as well. There's not a lot of fat in it, but it will release some fat, which is going to help saute the vegetables in here as well.
And those juices will just get absorbed.
And it's going to add lots of flavor.
Well, the fragrance on it is wonderful. So. I guess when you're cooking, it's an aroma.
It's an aroma, that is correct. And this dish, what's nice about this dish is you make it, it doesn't take very long to prepare, and the longer it sits in your fridge, 2, 3, 4 days, the better it gets.
The flavors just go richer.
Then normally, if there is any left over, which sometimes is rare, but if there is, you can put it in a plastic container or a Ziploc baggie, lay it flat in your freezer so it freezes flat. That's how I store all my soups and sauces.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yep.
I usually put them in plastic containers.
Well, you can do that as well. But I found that if you take heavy-duty Ziploc baggies for sauces,
and then,
you lay them flat on a sheet pan, once they're frozen, then you can store them. You make sure there's label. There's freezer tape you can get at the grocery store that has specifically for your bags, or you can write on them. So, yeah, it's good.
We'll have to tips, Steffani.
See, I'm glad you learned something today, Carla.
Oh, I've learned quite a bit, actually.
Good, good. Well, this, I'm going to crank the heat up a little bit because it seems like it's taking longer than normal. But as the sausage is releasing a little bit oil there, I'm going to add our chopped kale. Now, it looks like a lot right now.
But it does get reduced down.
It's going to reduce
fast,
not as much as let's say, a spinach would, because you know how much spinach will shrink up. But it does shrink up a lot. And because the kale is so good for you, I like to add a lot. And I got this, this kale was also fresh from Sherman Farms yesterday.
Yeah.
I got all the vegetables.
Oh, that's good. There have to be a stop on my way home.
Yes. They know their vegetables there. They're very helpful.
Yes.
Very helpful. They also have some really good soups and stews and baked items there as well.
Well, just walking in there and you get the aromas of the breads and the soups and everything else that they have going on there. They're a great place to go, both Sherman's and Weston's.
Yes. So that is starting to, you'll see in the camera here, it's starting to get a little bit darker as they're covered, the leaves are covered with a little bit of fat from the pork. I'm going to season with a little bit of salt and pepper.
Now, normally, if you were doing this and the camera wasn't on you, how long would this part take?
I'm actually pretty much doing it true to timing. I mean, I did let the vegetables, I probably would have let the vegetables cook a little bit longer, because the longer they cook, the softer they get, the more flavor they're going to release into your soup. And then to this, I'm going to add, I'm going to reduce the heat a little bit. I'm going to add beans. I have 2 cans of beans here. You can use whatever kind of beans you want. You can use a white bean. I have black-eyed peas.
Okay.
And I also have butter beans. I like to add different...
So you have, what, 3 different kinds of
2
beans?
different kinds.
2 different kinds?
Yep, you can certainly add another can of beans. What I've done is I've strained them, and I like my, this is kind of more of a stew than a soup, so I'm not going to have a lot of liquid, but I do have a container, about 15 ounces, 16 ounces of chopped tomato in the juice. I like this brand. You can get it at Hannaford's and Shaw's. Very good quality. It's a little bit more expensive than the no-name brand, but it does add a lot of good flavor. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of chicken broth to this, and then we're going to turn it to a simmer and then let it simmer for about a half hour to let the flavors melt together. Okay. And then you're going to season it, taste it, see how it tastes, and then I finish it off, and we can finish it off with some fresh Parmesan cheese.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Adds a little flavor to it.
Yeah. Great. Perfect.
So that's that dish, and then we can come back and we'll start our next dish.
We'll check on it later.
Great.
All right. So, Steffani, we're going to see what you're going to do with cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
Which is an awesome vegetable.
It is an
root
awesome.
crop.
it is a beautiful vegetable. And the way that I'm going to prepare it, I'm going to be roasting it in the oven. So I have my oven temperature at 450 degrees.
Wow.
And I have a sheet pan here ready for me. And I'm just going to cut the cauliflower, the bottom off a little bit and get the green off as much as possible. Hiding from the camera here. And then I'm just going to slice it about 1 inch thick in big pieces. It is going to,
It'll
come
fall
apart, but that's
right.
okay. Don't worry about that. And it's just about 1 inch thick all the way through.
Boy, that's new.
It's super easy. And I have, I did rinse this before I started. And I have some extra virgin olive oil here.
It's like a staple in the kitchen, isn't it?
Yes, and this is my favorite. I get this at Chef's Market. It's called Ariston. It's a Greek olive oil, and it is my absolute favorite. I actually do some recipe creation for the brand Ariston that comes from Greece. So anyway, I am going to put the lovely cauliflower, and this also came from Sherman Farm. And they have such wonderful. Don't be afraid. I like a lot of oil on mine because it helps. Yeah, it helps crisp it up. Because what's going to happen here is the high temperature is going to caramelize the bottom. We're going to end up flipping it about halfway through the cooking process.
Yep.
I want to make sure it's covered all the way on the bottom.
It's almost like cooking freeform, isn't it?
It's very freeform, and that's what makes it fun. People, a lot of people are very intimidated by cooking, but if you learn how to do some basic, simple things, roasting and braising and things, cooking can be really simple if you just learn the basics.
Well, the way you cut that cauliflower, I mean, I usually tip it over and start breaking all of the flowerets off it and doing it that.
Look how fast. This is easy.
Going for it.
And you get a lot of the extra stem that you normally would throw away. So now that it has olive oil on the bottom, I'm going to put some on the top. And this is extra virgin olive oil, so it's healthy for you. Obviously, you don't want to be drinking too much of it or using too much. And I'm going to, season my foods as I cook them. Before it goes into the oven, it's going to get some fresh ground pepper. And
what about garlic?
Some kosher salt. You could certainly do garlic, but I wouldn't do it right away because if you mince it up, it's going to burn too quickly. So because this is a really hot oven, it's 450 degrees. It's preheated.
And how long will that stay in the oven, Steffani?
What's going to happen in about 10 minutes, I'm going to check it and look for, peek underneath for a little caramelization or a little browning on the bottom. And if it's starting to caramelize, then I'll flip it over and then I'll go for another 10 to 15 minutes.
So this is the tapenade.
This is the tapenade that is going to be
This is
drizzled over
exciting,
the hot roasted cauliflower. Simple, easy peasy. Okay, we have about 1/3 cup of olives. Now I've minced those up, and I have a mixture of Kalamata olives and green olive. Okay, and then I have about 1 large or 2 small cloves of garlic, minced. And then I'm going to add some lemon juice and olive oil. I'm going to avoid salt on this because we have the olives are cured in a brine, in a salt brine, so we don't want to have too much. Certainly if you like more, you can. Before you get the juice from your limes or lemons or oranges or any citrus, you just roll them and release the juices from the pulp.
That releases the juices.
You can also throw them in the microwave for 20 seconds. I don't know if you've heard that one yet.
No,
and it does pretty much the same thing. It warms up a little bit and it breaks the pulp up very easily. But before I use the juice, before I cut the thing in half and use the juice, I'm going to use my favorite microplane again, and I'm going to get some of the zest.
Just some of the zest. So that stays right in there.
And this stays right in here, and it gives such an intense flavor. And what's nice about using lemon juice and lemon zest or any kind of citrus is, this particular dish has saltiness from the olives, but if you're trying to lower your salt intake, using citrus juice and citrus zest, especially with your favorite microplane, it helps enhance the flavor, and it kind of mimics the flavor of salt. It really enhances food's flavor. Yes.
Well, okay. I mean, lemon is a staple for me.
Absolutely. So, and I use lemon and orange zest all the time. Did I get zest on me? She's looking out for me. I appreciate it. So I just, maybe about a half of the lemon.
Half of the lemon.
And now I'm going to just cut it in half. And I'm going to squeeze the juice right into my hand, catching
the proverbial
the
seeds.
proverbial seeds. You can certainly use a lemon squeezer, but I keep it kind of simple. And then I'm using this lovely olive oil. Maybe 2 tablespoons there. and I mix it up. And then what's gonna happen is we are going to just sprinkle this on top of our roasted cauliflower when we're done, and it's gonna add a really nice flavor. If we need a little bit more, you know, we might want to taste it, see if we need a little bit more, squeeze a lemon or lemon zest, and that's as easy as pie.
That's it.
That's it. And it's just different than just plain cauliflower with butter. You know,
Exactly,
it adds
yeah.
a nice different dish. And you'll see that the roasting really enhances the flavor of the cauliflower. I know you said that you do a lot of roasting of cauliflower, so that's one of my favorites. My kids love it as well.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And it's a root crop, and it's this time of the year, and you should be eating from the ground anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Close to the earth, I think.
So
yes,
our
they
next
say.
project, we'll come right back and we'll do the broccoli.
Okay, we'll take a break, and we'll be right back. You've taken the cauliflower out of the oven, and you flipped it
I did.
and put it back in.
And I put it back in, and it's nice and caramelized on one side from the heat and the olive oil, and nice and brown. And we flipped it over, and it's in the oven for another 10, 15 minutes or so.
And for all those who saw that and saw all that olive oil going down when you were getting the cauliflower ready to put in the oven, it was all gone.
It absorbed right into the cauliflower.
Right. So
And it's gonna,
be generous with your olive oil.
yes.
Okay,
Excellent.
great.
So
All
we're
right.
moving on to the broccoli here. Broccoli is super high in potassium.
Yes.
It's got vitamin C, it's magnesium, which helps regulate your blood pressure. It also has, and I'm going to botch up the name of some kind of something or other that helps your body process anti-cancer compound. So it's good for you. I mean,
It's
it may
a
not be as
great
great
winter
as
crop.
it is a great winter crop. It's not as good as the kale probably, but it's probably a close second. So you're mostly familiar with cutting off the flowerets from broccoli and cauliflower as well. I like to get as much as possible as I can, especially from fresh broccoli, because it hasn't been around. Like supermarket, it tends to be around, but I got this from a farmer's market, so this is all really fresh. So you can use a peeler to get rid of the tough outer skin. It's a little bit woody. But what I usually do is I'll just take a knife and I'll cut around most of the woodiness of it. And if I'm making soup or if I'm cooking the broccoli like I am today, I will just take off the woodiness and then just chop it the similar size, because it's going to cook, you know, you're not going to do the same size so it cooks evenly with the rest of your broccoli, and then you have that much extra. Now if you're having a huge head, you have, you know, 3 or 4 times that much. So it's really worth using if you're making a pureed soup or vegetable broth. It's just more for you. So what I'm doing here is I have 1 stick of butter, so a half a cup of butter, and I've melted it in a heavy duty pan, and I have some garlic. I have 2 cloves of garlic, which I've minced, and I'm going to let that just heat up there to the flavor is going to release the flavor of the oils from the garlic into the oil. Now I have my cooked broccoli here.
That tapenade smells wonderful.
I've cut the broccoli and cooked it I've cut it into small pieces, and I cooked it for about 6.5 minutes or so. If you like it softer, you can certainly cook it a little bit longer. If you like it more al dente, certainly undercook it, really desired. If you're going to serve this...
Here, let me help you.
You can... And again, this is fresh from Sherman Farms.
Great.
And so the sauce that I'm going to be making for this, it's going to be really simple. It's going to have a little soy sauce, brown sugar, a little white vinegar, and then it's going to be topped with cashews in addition to this yummy sauce. Yeah, it's super easy to make, and it's a real crowd pleaser. So I have in here, I have the butter and the garlic. I let them release, and you can smell that too bad there's not smell-o-vision.
Big on aromas.
Yes, big on aromas. We have a tablespoon of brown sugar. I have 2 teaspoons of white vinegar. I have 2 teaspoons of soy sauce and a pinch of black pepper. I didn't add any salt to it because I have the soy sauce in there. So certainly if you like a little saltier, I don't have a wooden spoon, so I'm just mixing it up here. And all I'm doing is stirring this together. And you can actually make this ahead of time as well if you want to prepare everything for your guests ahead of time. And that can be ready, and just pour it over.
Does that have to simmer down, reduce down in any way?
You can let it reduce down a little bit. I'm just heating it up a little bit, bringing it up to a boil, and then I'm going to pour it right over the broccoli, and then I'm going to sprinkle it. I have about a half a cup of roasted salted cashews, and then I'm going to sprinkle them on top, and then the flavor that you're going to get from the unique, the garlic sauce with a little soy, and then the texture from the cashews. And that's another reason why I didn't add any more salt to this dish, because these are roasted, salted. You can certainly use roasted that have not been salted.
Raw
and I'm just pouring
cashews,
this. Yep.
And that's it.
And you can also roast them ahead of time in the oven if you want the cashews to bring out the flavor. If you use raw. And then we just sprinkle this.
That is so cool. What a great dish.
It's a little bit
It's
unique.
A break
it's
from
a little bit.
Yeah.
It is a break from tradition, and the flavors are fantastic. So she's.
I'm sampling.
You're sampling. Excellent. Well, you can do that.
Wonderful.
And we have a couple more minutes on the cauliflower, and then we're going to bring that out of the oven.
Well, I noticed that you had cooks.
I love cooks.
I love cooks.
I'm not a paid professional, or I'm not paid for advertising
I'm
or
not
promoting
either.
them, but
A
for
great
people who
magazine.
like to cook or want to learn how to cook, I find that Cooks Illustrated is a really good way to teach people the real mechanics behind cooking, the not only how but why, and they do a really good job of every issue they have maybe a handful of recipes of the best mashed potatoes, and then they go into the how to make the best mashed potatoes, and why you heat up the milk, and why you heat up the butter, and why you add them in a certain order. It's kind of a food science aspect of it, but not too over the top. That's intimidating. And the recipes are fantastic. Some of my favorite go-to recipes are from there. Their cheesecake recipe from years ago, I still use it for 10 years. I've been using that recipe. Raspberry bars from that magazine is the best. And they don't do any advertising, so you're not going to get a whole bunch of advertisements and perfumes and things like that. They make their money just by subscribers or people like me who like to promote their magazine because it's fantastic.
Yeah, and they have it, I have mine on my iPad, which is on my island in my kitchen, and it's my go-to recipe place. It's wonderful.
So here
Look at that.
is our beautiful cauliflower.
Doesn't that look fat? Look at that.
Look at the coloration on that. That's the caramelization process that brings out a nice sweetness. And it also adds, color to a pretty dull, drab, generally looking dish. So it just enhances the coloration of the aesthetics, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Great dinner dish. I mean, it's great anytime. Thanksgiving, anytime.
And what's nice about this is if you have any leftovers, and if you haven't poured the tapenade, which we're going to do in a moment, but you can puree this and make, or just chop it up and put it into soups or an omelet or something like that as well.
Yes.
But it is a unique way to prepare the dish, and my family loves, they'll eat the garlic, or excuse me, the cauliflower just like that. But in this case, we're going to sprinkle on that tapenade, which adds a nice saltiness to it and some flavor. Remember, there's some lemon zest and lemon juice in here, and then that delicious olive oil. So here are the beautiful.
Well, my husband is going to eat well tonight. Look at that. That looks great. And again, the aromas are just wonderful. Just wonderful.
So yeah, nice ways to put together
good,
some
healthy
items from
vegetables.
your garden.
Yep. Easy to do.
Very easy.
Yep. Fun, delicious, smells great.
And we have just, we'll get the final dish out of the soup here that we have, or the stew.
Oh, the kale soup. My mouth is watering.
I don't know if we can see what we have in here, but we have the kale and the beans. And we'll get a nice bowl together and finish it off.
And the really neat thing about the kale, I think we were talking about this before, is you can have it the next day and the flavors just get better and better and better. So, pretty cool.
All right.
All right, Steffani.
And this is nice and healthy for you. And hearty for the winter and the fall as well.
Yep.
And again, you can make it, vegetarian.
And it's not fattening, not terribly fattening
Not
either.
terribly, no. And you can make it vegetarian if you prefer with, vegetable broth versus I added a little chicken broth in here, but you can go without that or just use.
You can just do vegetable broth.
And then we have
the beloved Parmesan cheese.
The beloved Parmesan cheese. And there you have it. Kale, broccoli, cauliflower, all good and healthy for you.
I have to try the soup.
Don't burn yourself.
I know.
Good?
Yeah. Oh, yum. That's good. That's good. When are we going to do another one of these shows?
Whenever you invite me. Well, whenever you want to come back to the Bernerhoff Inn. We're here at the Bernerhoff Inn in Glen.
Love it.
At a Taste of the Mountains Cooking School. So
thank you, Stephanie.
Oh,
it
you're
was
very welcome.
great. It was great.
Great to be here.
So we have our good friend Steve here, who is the new owner, along with Katie, Steve Lambert. And Steve is the new owner of the Bernhoff Inn, and he's going to be our guinea pig.
Or tester.
Tester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Let
right.
us know what you think. I mean,
So-
Steffani did a fine job.
So this is a broccoli.
This is the broccoli with the soy and the cashews.
Butter
Isn't
and
that
garlic.
yum? And now
Very earthy, very
yeah,
good.
we have to try this.
And all these dishes are from the earth.
You know what? Olives, cauliflower.
Hey, Bob,
Bob, we'll save you some. It's really, really good.
Yeah,
trust us, it's
The
really
cameraman's
good.
mouth is watering.
That is amazing.
You like that?
Have you
That's-
tried the kale?
What a good kick with poultry.
Yes.
That'll go great with
Yeah.
some turkey.
Yeah. It's
Who
awesome.
doesn't love kale?
I love kale, and it's really good for you.
It
Your
is
body
so
loves
good
kale.
for you, yeah.
Just careful, it's wicked hot.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah.
Now, is that a Parmesan on top there?
As
or
a
what?
grated Parmesan, Reggiano.
So, Steve, are you going to be doing classes here?
Yes, we are.
Oh, good, good.
He'll be my sous chef in the kitchen. He'll
Our
be.
guests love the quality of this program. They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be her sous chef.
Yes, he'll be
I'll
pouring.
boil
He'll
water.
be boiling water. He'll be pouring
Pouring wine.
smiling at the guests and keeping them
Oh,
happy.
Yeah,
while
we're
it's-
excited.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Very
have a lot of
nice.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you again, and we will see you next time on All Things Growing.
fun. And at the Taste of the Mountains Cooking School, and at the Bernhoff Inn.
The
And at the
Bernhoff
Bernhoff
Inn.
Inn. And now, Bob, come on over here and sample some of this.
I was coming.
I like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody. We'll see you again on All Things Growing. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving and happy eating. Bye.